Seeing how it is 6:30, I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. If everyone could stand and join me for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No agenda adjustments this evening. Consideration of minutes. To approve the minutes of the May 10th, 2023 Board of Directors meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing how there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. We'll move down to public comment. At this time, we'll give the public an opportunity to come to the mic. When you come up to the mic, please introduce yourself. Tell us where you are from. If you are talking personnel or your child, please remember to refrain from using any names. So I welcome anybody to the mic.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I have a written comments for the record when I get done. My name is Mark Russell from the town of Litchfield, and these are public comments to the RSU4 board and the residents of the RSU4 community. It is with deep regret that I find myself addressing you this evening, but the old adage that your real character shows through when you think no one is watching has proven to be true once again. During the recent budget approval meeting on May 17th, there were a few things that were said on a hot mic that need to be addressed. Tonight, I choose not to comment on the apparently disparaging remarks about the Gowells and Old Man Gowell. The audio quality wasn't good enough for me to draw any conclusions about that conversation. Rather, I'd like to discuss the remarks concerning the RSU4 staff and the additional local funding formula. The two board members were overheard discussing the attendance of only a few staff members at the budget approval meeting. Their comments seemed to indicate that they thought it would be easier to pass the budget if more resident staff attended, insinuating that out of their gratefulness for being employed by the RSU4, the resident staff should vote in a solid block to support the board and to increase their tax burden. There was further discussion about the need to rid the district of those staff members with seniority. The suggestion seemed to be that they were the ones that were responsible for the high budget numbers, and the budget would be more palatable if they weren't around. If I were a senior staff member, I think I would be a little hesitant to trust or be involved in negotiations with someone who would make such a statement. The same two board members were also overheard proposing and advocating for a change to the formula for the additional local funding to be based on 100% valuation. Both members know the effect that this would have to further expand the inequities in the allocation of taxes to the member communities. It has been almost 50 years since the town of Litchfield, Wales, and Sabattis joined in the effort to educate the children of the three towns. The challenge then and now has always been to balance the educational needs of the children with the ability to finance those needs with tax revenues from the towns and the state. We all know that throughout most of that time, the state has failed to live up to its obligation. That has left it to the towns to figure things out. This has led to occasional tension among and within the three communities. In order to meet this challenge, it takes community leaders who have respect for the process and for the goal of the three communities to work together. In the past, I've been involved in many of the efforts to strike this balance between the needs of the children and the ability to pay for those needs, and also to maintain a cohesive union between the towns and within the town of Litchfield. During that time, I've always felt that those involved in this effort from the other towns also wanted to maintain this union and find equitable solutions to the issues as they arose. Sadly, I have to say, based on the remarks of the two board members that I overheard, I was wrong. Any effort to change the additional local funding formula to increase the burden on the taxpayers of Litchfield by changing to a 100% valuation calculation is to advocate for the dissolution of this district. They know it is unacceptable, and to propose it undermines their credibility as participants in the effort to improve the educational opportunities for the children of the district and to do it in such a way as to strengthen the relationship between the three towns. After 50 years, the challenge has not been met. The educational needs of the children are not being met, and the equitable financing solution has not been found. We still need, perhaps more than ever, community leaders who are dedicated to making this relationship work. The alternative will not be good. And the two longest-serving members on the board, Mr. Gayton and Mr. English, you bear some responsibility. And based on your conversation on the 17th, your continued participation hinders the effort for the district to successfully meet the challenge. And I respectfully request your resignation from the board.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Any other comments?
Good evening, board members and public. My name is Tom Wood. I'm a resident of Litchfield, currently the chair of the Litchfield Budget Committee. At the meeting on the 17th, I was charged by the committee by a majority vote to speak on behalf of the committee. Tonight, I'm speaking on behalf of myself alone. One of the difficulties I recognized at the budget meeting was an insufficient knowledge on the part of the voters concerning the total funding package for such line items such as special education. A major portion of that cost is borne by the state under a different formulation than other articles on that warrant. And that led to some confusion, and what I see is an unfortunate reduction in the special education budget. And I strongly suggest that the next time we come around to this, that the board work to couple the revenue side other than just the local, what's apportioned to the local three towns, but the state side as well. That way the voters can see how much of the burden falls on the communities and how much the state is picking up. Last Wednesday night, it appeared as though it was an unfunded mandate because the revenue side from the state was not readily visible during the discussion. And while it is a mandate by the state, special education and all of the parts that entails, the state does kick in a substantial amount of support. And I think that fact was lost in the conversation. So that's not the only point in the budget where the revenue side and the expense side more fully explained would help the voters understand the dynamics inside the budget and how to get to the bottom line. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Anyone else? Seeing as there's none, we'll go ahead and move on. Any petitions and communications? No? Reports, superintendent's report.
So I'll just highlight two things. One is last night went to the Oak Hill High School concert with the chorus band and the rock band. And if you're going to graduation, the rock band's putting on a wonderful performance as part of graduation. And so it was great to see the kids in action. And it was, as Destiny and I were talking about, emotional for the seniors because they've been together for a while. They spent a lot of time together performing, and you could see that they're going to miss it a lot. So it was a joy. The other thing is on the table over there is the award that we received last week. Amy St. Pierre and Marco Aliberti and I attended the award. And when we got there, it was great. They had, it was at the Bates Museum, and they had different tables showing what their work is at Healthy Androscoggin. And then we learned that before the awards were going to be given, we'd be trained in how to give Narcan. So that was kind of interesting. I know I learned a lot. We learned a lot about it, and had a wonderful presenter kind of explain it to us. It was, the timing couldn't have been better because tonight you're looking at
the administration of medication policy around us having a collaborative practice agreement that will allow our nurses to train other non-licensed personnel to give out medication, including Narcan. And so we learned about it, got trained in it, and then we were provided samples of it as well. So, and then we received a wonderful award, and it's so feel free to go over it. It weighs a lot, and really a prize. And then we have a picture. You can see us receiving. So Vicki Wegman, she nominated RSU4. She has worked with us this year around vaping, and she did a lot of work with our students doing assemblies at the middle school and the high school. She also was at parent night. She worked with the policy committee to update our policy on our tobacco policy, and so she's been a great wealth of resources. And she just felt like RSU4 really stepped up and took a lead in wanting to educate our students. And so there we are. And Samantha was missed at it. Samantha played a big part in bringing Healthy Androscoggin to the district as well. So I want to make sure she got a shout out. But there we are. So it was a wonderful evening. And so I wanted to share the good news.
Thank you, Katie. Superintendent's report will be at next meeting. Your financial report was in your packet and will be discussed at Finance and Facilities. Administrative reports, Dustin and Michaela.
All right, good evening. I will be talking about Libby Tozier tonight. We'll just go to the first slide here. Good evening. Our first slide here talks about our building community. This is our 7th community event this year where parents and family have come to our school. This is our amazing math night. Our math coach, Brandy Muncie, headed up our Libby Tozier Math Night with a multitude of amazing games and activities for students to learn and play. Each child also went home with a variety of math manipulatives and games that they can play at home as well. This, of course, would not be possible without our classroom teachers who volunteer their time and energy to make this event a success for our school. Next one. Next up here is our K community meetings. These community school meetings continue to become the hit of the season as students are able to show off their latest dance moves and continue to build strong bonds with one another throughout the school year. Our students from September to now have transformed dramatically into young learners, and we're very proud of them, and you can see that in their participation in these events. No longer do we have students staying to the side or not participating, but as you can see, every student is up there and having a good time. In our last slide, here's a couple things. We have some exciting news. Some chicks, I don't know. They're in the
Baby chicks and running dogs.
There we go. It's an exciting time. We've had a number of siblings and others come to our school to check these out as well. And the kids have absolutely fallen in love with them. I think they all have names now as well. They change throughout the day depending on if we have AM or PM session. Their names are different. And speaking of pre-K, we have some very exciting news for everyone. For pre-K, today was our first of 3 pre-K screening days. We are now at a total of 64 students that have enrolled already for our 22-23 program, and we have started a waiting list for those that are requesting a superintendent's agreement. Is many family from outside of our community have requested to come to our pre-K. So it's pretty phenomenal what we've accomplished there, and that credit all goes towards staff that has done that. Jan LaValle, Allison Caceres, and those before have really built up that program to be one of expert levels. So today we had our first screening day. We had a number of staff that helped out. We had Mackenzie Burgess, Jan and Allison, obviously, Ray Brown, Tina Began did a speech review with every single student that came through today. This also included a number of kindergarten students that are screening too. And overall, it was a lot of excited students and parents who are very eager to join the RSU4 community, and it's a pleasure to see them all.
Okay, so at Carrie Ricker, we have been doing a lot of outdoor learning with the weather permitting, of course. We had our forestry day outside on the Carrie Ricker grounds all throughout our fields. And they also started archery with Mr. Cohen. It is very structured. They also have dull arrows. Dull arrows, and he does a really good job working with students, having them follow those directions. But we also had our second grade ambassadors come up, and when asking them what their favorite part of Carrie Ricker was, they're like, we get to do archery, so that was a big hit. We also had our very own wax museum come to Carrie Ricker in Miss Drew's room, where each student did a report on a historical figure that they were interested in, got to dress up. We also welcomed all of their families in to see their performance. It was a huge hit, high attendance rate, and it was a really great day of celebration for all the hard work that they did. We also had our arts night at Carrie Ricker, where we had great attendance. We actually had a jam in the hallway with people coming and going. We had a wonderful night of music, band, where students were able to show off all the hard work that they've been doing. We had our walls covered in student work that they've done for art throughout the year, and got to get ready to bring some of that fun stuff home. And they also had the opportunity for families to come in and join our book fair, where there was a lot of nice posters and pretty pens leaving our doors that evening. But it was a great turnout, and we are really thankful for what a great community that we have. And we saw a lot of students very proud to showcase all the work that they did and have their families come in the building to see all the hard work that they've been doing. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Amy and Jenny.
I didn't do that, did I?
Hi, Regina, if you could just give me a signal if you guys can hear me,
Yeah. Yes.
'cause I cannot hear anybody.
Yes.
All right, I think I see it coming. All right. Hi, I'm Amy Arnold, assistant principal at Sabattis Primary School. If you want to go to the first slide, this slide, I think,
Go back.
here's the other one. Yep, that one. This slide shows some fun in SPS in our last weeks in school with the second grade posing in the stairs due to a recess washout. A first grader is sharing his poem in his pocket. He's from Miss Merrifield's class. And the local cheerleader littles showing their spirit at a community meeting in April. Next slide. May 5th, we had an extra community meeting specifically to award our hardworking readers with bikes and books provided by the Sabattis Masons. Thank you to Heather Libby for organizing this, and to Becky D'Alessandro, our literacy coach, for supporting as well. 12 students received bikes, and 8 students got lots of books to read and enjoy. Next slide. Our school counselor, Maureen McDonald, is expanding her kindness theme and causing our tree to bloom. This is in our front lobby where the students arrive from the buses and leave in the afternoon, so they can see the kindness tree blooming with hands of kindness acts from all the staff and students. On the right You can see the SPS students are enjoying a social experience in the second night of 4 nights of our new after-school clubs. This is game night. All right, next slide. Our second grade ambassadors took a trip to Carrie Ricker for a pre-step up day. They enjoyed a tour, a luncheon, they got to meet staff. Thanks to Maureen McDonald and Tony Green, the Carrie Ricker administration team and teachers and staff for allowing this experience to happen for these students. They had an awesome and wonderful time touring the school and getting to know the school a little bit more, to ease their nerves, and also to be leaders and ambassadors for their classmates who might have questions and anxieties about the step up, the actual step up day coming up soon on Friday. Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, I'm not sure how I'm going to hear them, but I can somehow answer them.
Hello. So at Oak Hill Middle School, we are happy to share with you that through the collaborative effort of Mike Jack, the Dean of Students, Amy, and myself, we've successfully decreased the incident rate in most categories, except for one, student-to-student disrespect. It's important to note that we have taken a proactive stance in addressing situations before they escalate. By promptly addressing minor incidents of disrespect, we are reducing the chances of them turning into fights, threat, and intimidation. Our focus lies in restorative work, or restoring relationships. By bringing students together and supporting them through their differences, we guide them to repair relationships. It is through these conversations that we help students take responsibility for their actions. They learn to understand how their actions affect others, acknowledge the harm caused, take steps to repair that harm, and commit to making the necessary changes to prevent such behavior in the future. This approach does not mean a lack of consequences. It emphasizes the importance of helping students to realize the impact of their actions on others. Building empathy decreases the likelihood of similar incidents occurring again. We look forward to continuing forward movement with a commitment to restorative work at the middle school.
Next slide. So recent professional development activities have focused on various aspects of our school community. These include student placement, PPEG goals, as well as an introduction and a very lively discussion on artificial intelligence technology, also known as ChatGPT. From January to March, we had great participation from over 40 of our middle school students reading at least one book from the 2023 Maine Student Book Award selection. Collectively, these readers read thousands of pages, totaling more than 90 books, and also wrote 90 book reviews along with it. To celebrate their accomplishments, Mr. Rudishan organized an ice cream social where all participating students were in attendance. Their involvement helped to decide the Maine Student Book Award winner for the 2023 academic school year, which was awarded to the book Alone by Megan Freeman. And I'd like to give a special shout out to Fielder's Choice for donating the ice cream for this event. Next slide. On May 10th, Allison Collins and Joe Menace organized ACES Day, which stands for All Children Exercise Simultaneously. This event coincided with National Physical Fitness Week, and activities planned for the day included lawn games, some spirited kickball matches, and sidewalk chalk drawing, along with games of lively crab soccer matches in the gym. The day wrapped up with a friendly staff versus student basketball game, which Diane talked a little bit about at the last meeting, which promoted some active lifestyles. We also have some chicks at the middle school. On May 15th, in Miss Clark's 5th grade science class, we welcomed 2 feathery additions, which you can see down at the bottom, to the middle school. And the one that's with the dark feathers, they named Amy after me. So exciting. And I believe the lighter one is Lee, after Miss Matthew. Students have been observing and learning how to care for the now 9 newcomers that currently occupy Oak Hill Middle School, and it's really fun to see staff and students really eager every day to run down to Miss Clark's room and check out the chicks to see how much they've grown. The last week, the school counselor and I, accompanied by 4 of our 7th grade student ambassadors, paid a visit to Carrie Ricker School.
The student ambassadors visited each fourth grade class, sharing information about various aspects of Oak Hill Middle School, such as how we transition between classes, the different UA classes that are available, different extracurricular activities, the lunch options, and of course, the school dances, which was a hot topic. On Friday, we had the pleasure of hosting the fourth grade students up at the middle school for their attendance at the first performance of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The play's cast and crew, which is led by director Jen Rinko, entertained audiences with 3 different performances throughout the weekend, all of which were met with enthusiasm and full house, standing room only attendance. And as the school year wraps up, we look forward to a variety of activities and events in the coming weeks. Tomorrow night, our talented band and chorus will present their spring concert at 6 p.m., and everybody is invited to attend, so please show up. Additionally, our 8th graders are eager to attend their upcoming end-of-year field trip, the 8th grade dance, and their final 8th grade celebration. Any questions?
Could you go back to the referrals slide?
Sure.
And just read to me what they were, because I couldn't read.
So we have disrespect to staff, disrespect to student, drug possession or use, fighting assault threats, harassment, inappropriate behaviors, inappropriate language, weapons, and skipping classes. And in red, that's the 21-22 school year data, and the blue is 22-23 school year data.
Thank you. And disrespect to students is the only one that went up. Could you give me just like a broad example of what that might be? What something would be that would
So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
It could be students speaking unkindly to each other, starting a verbal battle, so that we would then, which might lead to some very unkind or inappropriate words for school. So then we would talk to the students again and begin that restorative work and sit them down separately and then together to figure out what caused this, what happened, and avoid it leading into a fight.
And we're working really hard with the students just to understand that words matter. So when they think it's just playful banter, it's really hurting the other students' feelings, and it can turn into something a lot larger than was intended.
Do you have any ideas why you think that may be on the rise versus the other sort of things?
There's a lot of, I think we've been talking about how students are getting used to being more social again, that it's been on a downslide since COVID, and they're having a hard time expressing their feelings the way that we should in societies when we have to work with large groups of people from diverse areas. So learning that, where the boundaries are, there are different laws and policies put out by the state and the federal government, that they are now getting to an age where they have to be made aware of that these things matter. So there's a lot of different reasons, and I think they're middle schoolers. They like to push the envelope and say, what, that was, I didn't mean it. And so, well, words matter.
Thank you.
Other questions? Any other? Thank you. Thank you. Marco and Suzanne? Oh,
I'm going backwards.
Tom?
Thank you. Not everybody knows who these people are, especially the people at the other end of the video. So perhaps they could identify themselves as they step up to speak.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
No worries, thank you.
Sure. Marco Alabrese, Principal, Oak Hill High School.
Sue Rennie, Assistant Principal, Oak Hill High School.
To the folks at home.
To the folks at home.
To the folks at home.
Hello. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for a few moments of your time to share the most recent happenings at Oak Hill High School. I'm also a report out on school-wide behavioral goals. We begin obviously with an update on our school-wide behavior. As you can see, the chart compares office-managed behaviors from last year to this year. Our goal was to reduce office-managed behaviors by 25% from last year. The blue are the number of recorded incidents from last year compared to the red of recorded incidents for this year through April. We are currently at 27% less than last year, which is great, but also needs further explanation. As you can see, the month of February is an anomaly, given we were not in school for 3 weeks. Don't forget that, right? 2 weeks of remote learning and a week of vacation. However, if you remove the month of February altogether, the graph from the graph for both last year and this year, we're at 20% less than last year, and we continue to trend less than last year, and I anticipate we'll meet our goal at the end of the year. Additionally, just as something we discussed in one of our committee meetings this afternoon, the in-depth education program, that's the vaping program or anti-vaping program awareness. We're not promoting that anyway. So we've been conducting that for most of the year with SRO Brown, with students who are willing to participate in that program, and that is resulted in 60% of our students who have had one violation not having another, which is fantastic. I'm running the show here with this. All right, here we go. Next up, the Oak Hill High School junior class hosted the junior-senior prom at Lost Valley in Auburn last Saturday night. Theme was prom, a red carpet event, and from my perspective, it was a success. Representatives of the junior class, under the supervision and guidance of Mrs. Angela Roy, transformed the ski lodge into an atmosphere worthy of its title. Students took photos, danced, and hung out enjoying their time together, and I'm always impressed by the behavior of our students as they rise to the occasion and get the most out of the event. Lots of fun. And finally, I wanted to highlight student life, in particular our seniors who will celebrate next week with the senior class assembly, our class night, and of course graduation. A reminder, graduation is Saturday, June 3rd at 7 p.m. at the Augusta Civic Center. Pictured here, awaiting their class photo, are some of our seniors. You can see dead center there. We also have a great photo of one of our seniors, Faith Perrier of Wales, who was featured in an article in the Sun Journal. If you haven't seen that, it was a great article on her. And you can see it's linked there by her name. So if you want to just roll over that, you can see it. But also, Alternative Education made a trip to the YMCA Outdoor Learning Center that's on either side of the slide there to assist in trail building and removing invasive plants. And we also had in physical education a group called First Push Syndicate that came in to have students ride skateboards, mountain bikes, and fat bikes. And so that was a blast to see them ripping around the campus on those. So it was fun. Not featured, unfortunately, just because we only have 3 slides, is the creativity really of our science department. So Julie Bushi, one of our biology teachers, was like, how am I going to do dissections this year? And I said, oh, you should use the fishbowl. And so the fishbowl is a place, it's an outdoor education, I guess, space more than anything else. There's picnic tables and things of that nature. So kids have been out there this week dissecting sheep brains, on picnic tables. I spared you the photo, I spared you the photo. But yeah, it's actually been really great to see them out there. And it's wonderful because you can see it in action, and a lot of kids can see it as they go by, which is a lot of fun. And also our career fair, which was, I believe, last Friday. It just all runs together at this point in time. And so we had a number of representatives from the community here under the tutelage of the Career Center of Maine and Rob Ducharme, and that was well attended also. We had students participate in that for an hour, and also the public. So it was great. So there's a lot going on as we barrel forward to the end of the school year. That's it. I can answer any questions you may have. All right. Thank you.
On to our student rep.
So it's been a bit since I've been able to give a report with everything going on, such as nationals. We went to Texas, as many of you know. We did amazing, better than we ever have before in a nationals competition in our school history. We brought home 10 medals. We placed 4th in our division, and it was just a super amazing experience. A lot of people had never flown on planes before. We made so many friends from other states. An example of one of those states is Wyoming. We met so many great kids from that team, and we still keep in contact with them. It's so amazing to get to meet other people from different time zones and different cultures, and it was really wonderful. And we also got to explore Frisco. We went to a mall and got to it was so massive. It was completely so difficult to process how different it was from Maine, but it was really beautiful, and I'm so glad we got that experience. We did a lot of fundraising with GoFundMe. We did a McDonald's fundraiser where they donated 50% of their profits, I believe, if we went and volunteered for a few hours. So that made us a lot of profits. And we had Gowls donate a lot of money the Saturday before Easter, as well as boosters. AP testing went on a few weeks ago. That was rough. It happened in this room, actually, and a lot of my peers were not very excited to do it, but we did it, and a lot of us feel we did well. So that was really exciting. And we also had I'm part of tennis. Tennis has been going really well. We are also doing better this season than we have many of our seasons before in the last 3 seasons. This year we've won 3 meets so far, which may not sound like a lot, but last year we won 1, and the year before we won 0. So it's been a great improvement. We've had a lot of amazing new recruits to our team, and we have a great team culture, which is amazing, and I believe we're making it to playoffs this year. So I'm very excited about that, and it's a great experience for our team, and especially our seniors who have been doing this since before, and I believe in the year of 2021 to 2022, no, 2020 to 2021, they only had 3 kids. So as their first year, that was not ideal for them, as they had to forfeit many matches, but now as seniors, they're getting to make it to playoffs, and they really earned it, and I'm really excited to be a part of that team. Recently, I went to Chicago for the STARS flyout trip, so it's a small town and rural student fly-in program. I was one of 30 students who got to fly into the University of Chicago and got to meet with admissions counselors and financial aid, and it was a really great experience to represent Oak Hill and other rural high schools because recently colleges have started to acknowledge that rural students have very different experiences than many other students when applying to universities, and we're often sometimes disadvantaged due to the lack of resources, and we're not often represented in college communities. So it's been amazing that they paid for our flight, paid for my flight to go and visit them. They paid for my stay, and it was a wonderful experience to meet also more rural students from across the country. I believe there were 30 students from 12 different states. So that was such an amazing experience. I'm wearing a crew neck I got from there. I also got a hoodie from Texas, but I can only wear one sweatshirt at a time, so I'm very sorry. But yeah, as Mr. Aliberti said, there was prom, really amazing experience. As a junior, I got to help plan it, and it was beautiful, and that's what's been going on so far. Any questions?
Thanks, Destiny. Thank you, Destiny. There's no old business, so we'll move right on to new business. 7.1, to approve a first-year probationary teacher to second-year probationary professional contract. The name was omitted from our last board meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, thank you. 7.2, to approve the following administrator for a 1-year contract from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. Suzanne Rennie, Assistant Principal, Oak Hill High School.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you. 7.3, to approve the first reading of the following policies. JLCDA, medical marijuana in schools.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All those not in favor? Thank you. JLCD, administration of medication to students.
Second.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair. Just a couple of things. This is, well, it's on page 3, must be in section B, and I don't have it, I just printed out the individual pages. But it starts out, the paragraph starts out with Rule Chapter 40, Subchapter 2B. We go down to the 3rd line, where we now have they instead of he, she. I believe believes is not the correct word.
Okay,
If they believe,
Yeah.
and then you go right, drop down to that, the beginning of the next sentence, I think it's in this case instead of this care. And then I thought I had something else, but I couldn't find it again when I read through. But also, it has adopted by the Oak Hill School Committee at the bottom. We were good to change the school committee to the board every place else, but not down at the bottom about who it's going to be adopted by.
Yeah, this is where it was, this is from when it was adopted.
Yep.
And you're right, it'd be updated.
Right. It'd been updated other places, just not there,
Yeah.
so. Those are my comments.
Any further comments or questions? I will call for the vote, seeing with those changes that Bob has made. All those in favor? Thank you. 7.4, to move a motion that the vote entitled "Vote to Authorize Insurance of a $750,000 Revenue Anticipation Note" be approved in form presented to this meeting from the secretary file and attested copy of said vote with the minutes of said meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All those not in favor? All those abstaining? Okay. Thank you. We will move down to 8 committee reports, finance and facilities.
Yep, the Finance and Facility Committee met at 5:30 this afternoon, and I'll go over the financials first. On the financial page, 10 months, or 83.3% of the year completed as of June 30th, 2023. On the revenue side, year-to-date, we've received $17,474,413.43, which is 82.08% of anticipated revenue. And on the expenditure side, year-to-date, we've expended $16,481,494.66, which is 78.10% of the budget. The 2023, FY 2023 audit process timeline has been set, and we'll start doing pre-audit earlier this year than we did last year because of, they had changes at RKO or whatever, but anyway, we're straightening that out, so it's actually going to start in September, but we're doing pre-work right now in the office. End of fiscal year update. We talked about the revenue note, and Sam and I will be meeting towards the end of June once we get more expenditures in and see where we might have to, move funds around so we can make sure we're not in the red in a line item. And underneath facilities part, Oak Hill High School update. We've been in contact with the insurance company. They're still working on the payment for the building work, but that's processing now, Jonathan has said. And as soon as we can get that squared away with the insurance company, we'll be ordering the cabinets to finish, because that's basically what we have left to do in the science department is the millwork, which includes cabinets and the islands in the middle of the classroom and stuff like that. On the school revolving renovation fund, the grant update, the application has been submitted, and we should hear back by May 31st whether or not the application has been approved, I mean. And transportation's repairs and maintenance, there was a change in the town mechanic at Sabattis where we're doing our bus maintenance work, but they've hired a new mechanic, and Jonathan believes that we're going to be in good shape there. There was some vandalism at Libby Tozier that's going to cost anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000, and we are not covered by the insurance company for that, so we may be looking for restitution there. The boiler install at Carrie Ricker should be wrapping up by the end of June startup, so that's coming along really good, and there's been no disruption to class time or anything like that, so they've done a good job working that schedule through. And that was it.
Any questions, comments? No? All right, thank you, Robbie.
Yep.
9, board member comments.
Policy and
Yeah.
CAI met.
Oh, did I?
today.
Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
that's okay.
I skipped right over.
No,
I apologize.
It's not right on the agenda.
No.
Okay.
So we had another joint meeting for the policy committee and the CAI committee to review policy IKF, which is our graduation requirements. So in-depth, lots of information. So what I can tell you is that there will be recommendations coming to the board from the joint committees for first reading at our next meeting with a proposal of kind of what we've looked at and recommendations from not only the board members on that subcommittee, but also from our administrators as well. And then from the policy side of things, we looked at the student handbooks, pre-K 8 and then 9 to 12. And IKF needs to be approved before the high school policy can be, not policy, the high school handbook can be printed. So a lot's waiting on us making a decision around IKF. So stay tuned, it's to come.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry I missed that.
You're okay?
All right. 9, board member comments.
Madam Chair?
Bob?
Yeah, I wanted to, been planning on, we had some discussion at the budget meeting about the vote to form the RSU. And I know that the members from Litchfield were pretty adamant that Litchfield did not vote to join the RSU. And I was pretty adamant that it had to be approved in all 3 towns in order for the RSU to happen. I went back and did some research. There were a couple of things that changed during our process of coming up with the plan. One is which the state had initially mandated 100% evaluation. They changed that to allow student population to be included, and that's why we changed the formula to include student population as well. The other thing was that because we had formed a CSD many years ago, that act tied the actions of the school unit to a majority of vote of the 3 towns. So I want to apologize because I was incorrect in stating that, and I expect to be held accountable when I'm wrong on something like that there, and I want to apologize to anybody who I may have offended or who I may have led astray in believing something different. So please, I just want to acknowledge that it was probably because of a majority vote. I haven't looked to see what the actual vote was at Litchfield. It doesn't really matter because by law, because we're a CSD, it had to be majority of the 3 towns.
Anyone else? Diane?
I attended the Selectmen Board meeting in Sabattis a few weeks ago, and I asked if they would do something for the crosswalk at the middle school. It was painted 2 days ago, and it now has a cone in the road. There is going to be a blinker there, is what they told me, so that's good. I'm glad to see that there. Another thing that I saw, the DOE is having training for PBIS, and it would be great if we could have some of the teachers in this district do that.
So we have joined the PBIS cohort at the K4 level, so we are participating. Yeah.
Anyone else?
On a lighter note, I was able to attend Ms. Rinko's history walkthrough on 512, and I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me because I learned a ton about Sabattis that I didn't know. For instance, Mr. Gayton's father that started the rec department, which was really cool, and the fire at the Main Street Market I didn't know about, and some other things, so that was a lot of fun. The other thing, too, I wanted to mention is I noticed a post on Facebook about a neighbor to the middle school. She lives next to the ball field, and she has put some signs in her yard about not parking, so I guess it's an afternoon pickup situation, so I don't know if we can look into that, but it sounds like during afternoon pickup, the line sometimes goes all the way down, and it blocks her yard. Yeah, she has apparently a daycare there, and she's concerned about parents getting in and out and emergency vehicles getting in and out. But I drove by the other day, and I noticed that it's definitely marked that she's asking politely people not park in front of her, just in front of the driveway. So I don't know if the administration could maybe put out an email to parents, or work with her, or maybe the RSO to find a resolution.
Thank you, Scott. Anyone else? Number 10, executive session. I'm asking to enter into executive session with the Oak Hill High School principal pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056B, student discipline.
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor? All right, so we'll go ahead and move into executive session. Thank you, everyone.
And I do ask the public if they could exit out quickly, because we do have